Right, I'm joined by a special guest now, someone from the UK, an ex-minister of education, believe it or not. First time I get to interview a minister. Guy Opperman, welcome to the IRFA 2025 conference.
Well, thank you so much indeed. It is great to be here. I wasn't education, to be fair. I was employment, transport, and the main bit I did was pensions and retirement services and a bit of financial inclusion. But there's no question, it is an honour and a privilege to be here. I met Wayne and Geraldine, one of the organised team, previously at the African Pension Conference in Northern Africa earlier this year. And I'm working a lot here in Africa to try and see if we can promote retirement savings, retirement pensions in a proper way, and see where we're going to head in terms of South Africa and other countries as well.
So in that, what capacity are you in? What are you looking to achieve in order to achieve that goal? What
Sure.
are you looking to implement?
So I stopped being a minister in the UK government in July of last year, and I've then become an advisor in various shapes or forms. My main job here is with a lovely company called Smart Pensions, who are a platform business and a pensions business in the UK, but they're also selling platforms for companies and countries who wish to set up a defined contribution auto-enrolled pension system or a savings system. They're really good at it. They already do it in the UAE, in the Middle East, in Hong Kong and other countries. So I'm helping a really nice UK business expand. And at the same stage, I'm also a retirement strategy consultant. So I'm advising various countries and corporates as to how it is they are using pensions and savings both to improve the offer for their citizens and their employee, but also to retain their employees as well. Because when I was the employment minister, there's a fight for good people, and how it is you keep those people is really, really important.
And when you say you're advising, who exactly are you advising?
So the main company I'm advising is Smart Pensions, but we are then meeting. I'm here for the whole week, so I'm here for the 3 days of the conference, but I'm also meeting, working with Deloitte and others, a variety of the companies who are here today, some of the investment managers, some of the providers of solutions to local people, both here in South Africa, but also in the wider African continent.
And in terms of your time here in South Africa, is this your first visit?
No, I came here on a cricket tour a long time ago when I was younger and fitter, and I played a bit of cricket, very badly, I hasten to add, couldn't get used to the hard pitches, kept nicking off. And then separately, have been here as a tourist in the past, done the sort of the Knysna George route, and all various other things, and up to Joburg and Durban. Dated a South African girl for 4 years, so have been here many times. But first time to be working as such, and first time in Cape Town for, oh my God, something like 20 years. It's changed.
You say it's changed in what sense?
Listen, it's an amazing journey this country is on, and it is exciting to see that change. It's obviously not without its difficulties. Everyone can see and understand that. But the whole world has difficulties, and we are all grappling with a globalized world and economies that are tricky and complicated. But at the same stage, it's really exciting to try and be part of an African continent that is clearly moving forward. You look at, the best example I can give is in the UK, wider Europe, China, places like that, they have a fertility crisis. They can't pay for their old age because people are not having children. There is an elderly population with first world welfare, which is wonderful, but a real struggle to pay for it. I look at, China has 1.4 billion people. That's probably going to go down to 800 billion people. When I met my opposite number for China, he was going, I don't know how we pay for the long-term people there. You have the opposite problem in this amazing continent. You have a fertility bonus because there's a lot of babies being produced. You have a massively burgeoning and growing economy. It has its problems with inflation, with political instability, geopolitical complications. But the direction of travel is clear. And South Africa is clearly leading the way in respect of that. But also there are other countries, whether it is Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Morocco, who are obviously doing really, really well going forward.
It's interesting. South Africa has led the way in Africa when it comes to, call it the formalized pension sort of world. In fact, relative to the UK, I always find it fascinating because we were ahead of the UK in terms of the whole defined benefit to defined contribution, but the UK caught up and surpasses. What is the environment like right now in a defined contribution sense within the UK master trusts and so on?
So it's a really interesting point you make, because you're right. The key change was in 2012 when I was in government, and then I took the changes forward. We went to a auto-enrolled defined contribution system, whereby automatically 8% of your earnings, partly through yourself, partly through your employer, are taken away from you and put into a savings pot. Now, that has transformed retirement savings in the UK, as it has done in Australia, as it has done in several other countries. And you now see a situation where there are hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds being set aside for retirement savings in a world where DB is declining for all the reasons that we understand. Corporates can't afford it, countries can't afford it, and it is the change in the future that will be embraced by this continent. It's just a question of when. The key change was the 2012, making it as part of law that if you're employed and you earn effectively £10,000 in the UK, you have to be saving into an auto-enrolled plan. There is an ability to opt out if you really, really try hard enough, but very, very few people do. And I'll give you two stats to take away, which is before we did that, we had less than 25% of women and younger people saving for a pension. We're now at 85% saving for a private pension. That's transformational. And sure, it's small to start with, but you look at the Australian system, which is the envy of the world, and they've been doing it 33 years, and you see transformational change there, and people retiring with, $500,000 Australian dollars retirement pots. That's game changing.
Mm-hmm. So here in South Africa, what we found is the advent of umbrella funds. So the same as a master trust or a super fund. There's a lot of new legislation that's pushing standalone funds into the umbrella space. Is that similar in the UK with the master trusts? And how competitive is that world in the UK? Because it is a little bit of a concern here in South Africa that there are a few dominant, big master trusts, and the others are falling by the wayside.
So I don't think that's a fundamental problem. And in fact, I think the falling by the wayside is a good thing, personally. So I believe very strongly that you need consolidation. You need big players for a multitude of reasons. You then get professional trustees, professional managers of the organization. They can hold to account the investment people in a much better way. They can drive down costs, because if you're bigger rather than a smaller organization, you can definitely get a cheaper deal when you go to the big investment managing houses. And I think you're run as a bigger and better organization, and then you have the wider ability to do the sort of ESG and impact investing that everybody talks about, but it is really hard to do whilst maintaining fiduciary duty, net performance returns. The other bit is that once you have scale, you can also do proper performance metrics. So I can hold you to account, and I can say, what is your net performance after costs? Because if I'm in Australia and I have a super fund and I don't perform, I'm shut down, right? So if I don't get you a decent return, the regulator will basically give you a 2-year notice letter. And that 2-year notice letter means you can't take on anybody else, and you've got 2 years to turn it around. And in reality, the moment you get that 2-year notice letter, your fund is effectively merged into another fund, which is performing better, which really drives proper performance and proper outcomes for members. And trust me, the individual trustees and professional managers of those funds take it really, really seriously. And I will tell you a quick story. So I went on another cricket tour to Australia 10 years ago. I played a bit better, but after the game, which we played at a place called Ballarat, where Don Bradman grew up, and you can still see the house he grew up in and practice with a golf ball against the garden wall. And we had a barbecue in Ballarat, which is proper suburban, outside of the mainstream. It's New South Wales, about 2 hours from the cities. There's about 8 people around a barbecue, all having a couple of beers, perfectly normal Saturday afternoon that we'd all enjoy. What were they talking about? Their Australian super. Everyone knew the value of their super. Everyone knew what their performance were. And one person was saying, mine's underperformed, I'm going to move. Now, find me a country, any other country in the world where they literally have a barbecue and talk pensions, and I will say to you, you're mad, because it just doesn't happen. But their degree of financial education, inclusion, appetite and understanding for savings is exemplary. And that comes from scale, better communications with members, better returns.
That's interesting. I haven't thought of that way, because there's been a specific, almost want to say, initiative to rationalise the master funds in the UK. Has
Yeah.
this been the defined intent behind it, or is it just...
I ran that, and yes, it was. So when I started as minister in 2017 with the Master Trust, and when they were effectively not set up, but they were developed in that particular time, we had about 80-something, 83, 84. We're now down to 33. Within 5 years, we'll be down to 10 to 12. Now, that's a good thing in my view. You don't want to go below 10 to 12, but you have proper scale, you have proper people running it, and you have proper investment managers, and you have proper performance metrics. Now, it's hard because you don't want to stifle innovation. So Smart Pensions are a master trust. They're not the biggest. They've got 6 billion under management, but they are a fantastically agile, very impressive fintech-based pension master trust, and they're really, really good. You'd want those sort of people to still thrive, whereas compared to the really big beasts who've been around a long time and who have all the sort of legacy systems. So you want both types of organization to thrive, but you do need scale.
And conflicts of interest, how do you manage for those conflicts of interest with those bigger behemoths and utilising all their own services?
There's always a desire for, if you go to the big organizations, they want to run this and invest the money and do all of that. That's just a question of good regulators and making sure that there is no fundamental conflict between, and that if you have a situation where one organization runs everything, it's complicated, and I wouldn't have that personally. So, most modern pension systems have a situation, look, if you are the accumulator of the funds and you manage them, that's fine, but you can't then invest them as well. You've then got to subcontract that out to a BlackRock or whoever it is. Other companies apply, as we all know, who then manage those funds for you, or do it the other way around and just be a manager. It's a real problem when you're marking your own homework.
Well, Guy, look, I could keep you going all day with many questions. I wish you all the best for
No problem at all.
trip here in South Africa. How can any of our viewers get hold of you if they'd like to chat to you?
So I'm available on LinkedIn. I'm here all day at the conference and here tomorrow. I am probably the only person with a strong English accent wandering around, 5'11", dark hair, don't dye it. And I'm a very bad cricketer, so if they see me practicing my cover drive, they'll know it's me.
Guy, enjoy your conference. All the best.
Thank you very much.
Guy Opperman. Thank you.